Hey guys, my name is JC and today we're playing Aminatou the Fateshifter. This deck uses Planeswalkers and Blink effects to gain value, control the board, and then finish its opponents with Planeswalker ultimates. If you would like to build this deck yourself, then make sure to swing by the channel where we have a deck tech discussing all of the included cards as well as the overall strategy. Let's put Aminatou and her walkers to the test and see just how effective they are. Okay guys, let's see who we are playing today. We have got Thalisse, Reverent Medium, we have Lazav, Dimir Mastermind, and to finish up we have Muldrotha the Gravetide. Okay, looking at our opening hand, I think it's pretty good. We've got a few lands, we have Rhystic Study, which Ancient Tomb's going to help us get into earlier. Spirit Sister's Call is really good recursion, and Scroll of Fate's going to help us cheat some things in, with a bit of a chance to reanimate anything we might kill on board, so I think we'll keep this. Thalisse starts the game by playing a tap land for turn, and that gains them 1 life. And that's going to be it for them. Lazav also plays a tap land, which also gains them 1 life. And that's also going to be them done. Muldrotha plays a tap land for turn. And they end it there. We draw Primeval's Glorious Rebirth for turn. Well, our turn 1's going to be pretty simple. We'll play our Scalding Tarn. We'll crack it. We'll put into play our Rafine's Tower. And that's going to be our stun for turn. Thalisse plays a land. And now they cast a Charcoal Diamond. And that is it for them. Lazav plays a land for turn. But that's it for them. Muldrotha plays a land. And now they cast a Spore Frog. You can sacrifice Spore Frog, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. And that's it for their turn. We draw Vanquish the Horde. Good card, though at the moment we don't have the coloured mana to be able to cast it, but that's okay. Hopefully our Rhystic Study is going to draw us into some lands we need. So let's play our Ancient Tomb for turn. And let's play our Rhystic Study. And then we'll pass it over to our opponents. Thalisse plays a land for turn. But interestingly enough, it looks like they're going to pass the turn with all their mana open. Lazav plays a land for turn. And then they cast Jace's Archivist, which does trigger our study, but they're not going to be able to pay. You pay a blue, tap it, each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. And that draws us a Dimir Signet. Well, at least that's going to help fix our colours. And that is it for the Lazav player. Muldrotha plays a land. And now they cast a Vessel of Nascency that does trigger Rhystic Study, but they don't pay for it. And that draws us another land, that's great. Vessel of Nascency, you can pay 2 and sack it, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, you may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. And now they immediately activate their Vessel, sacking it. Looks like we have a Viscera Seer, Stitches, Supplier, and Secrets of the Dead hit the graveyard. And that is it for them. We draw an Otawara Saurian City. Good to have a little bit of interaction available. So we'll start by playing our Deserted Beach. Then we'll cast our Dimir Signet. And then after that we're actually going to cast our Scroll of Fate. And that way, when we hit the Muldrotha's end step, we can tap it, hopefully put our Spirit Sister's Call into play, and then next turn with Aminatou we can flicker it and get it into play. Essentially cheat a 5 mana costed spell there. But we'll also wait and see what happens on the rest of the player's board, because we may also cast our Vanquish of the Horde. So let's just pass it over to our opponents now. Thalisse starts by casting Ally, Buyback, Destroy Target Enchantment, and they are targeting Rhystic Study, and they do pay the tax effect. Well, unfortunately that's goodbye to our Rhystic Study, but Spirit Sister's Call can get it back. And it looks like that's it for the Thalisse player. Lazav plays a land for turn, and now they cast their commander, Lazav Dimir Master. Hexproof, whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may have Lazav become a copy of that card, except its name is Lazav, it's legendary in addition to its other types, and it has Hexproof and this ability. And that is it for their turn. Muldrotha plays a land for turn, it comes into play tapped and gains them a life. But after that they move to their end step, so we're going to activate Scroll of Fate now. We'll manifest Spirit Sister's Call, and then we'll move to our turn. We draw Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, nice to have a Planeswalker in our hand. So we'll start by playing Khan's Bastion for turn. Next we'll cast Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Now we're going to activate Teferi, bouncing the Jace's Archivist. And then we're just going to pass the turn there. Thalisse plays a land for turn. And now they cast their commander, Thalisse, Reverent Medium. At the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. Now on their end step, I'm going to try to dissuade Lazav from swinging into Teferi, so I'm actually going to use Scroll of Fate. And I'm going to manifest Dance of the Dead. Now we'll move to the Lazav player's turn. Lazav plays a land for turn. And now they cast Jace, Memory Adept. +1, draw a card, target player mills a card. 0, target player mills 10 cards. And -7, any number of target players each draw 20 cards. So it looks like we're not the only Planeswalker game in town. Now they do target us with the mill, which is actually going to be quite interesting with our Dance of the Dead. Let's see, did we get our Agent of Treachery? We didn't. Obnixilis, we lost Dam, Narset, Orzhov Signet, Dovin Ban, Teferi, Mystic Remora. Now they do move to combat, and luckily our manifests have probably scared them off, so they pass right through combat, and that's it for their turn. Muldrotha plays a land for turn, and now they cast Consuming Aberration. Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyard. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card, then puts those cards into their graveyard. And it's currently a 13/13. But that is it for their turn. We draw a Shattered Sanctum for turn, so we'll play that as our land. Well, we do have quite a few walkers in the yard, so I think it's time we bring them out and see what they can do for us. So let's cast our Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. So that returns Obnixilis Reignited, Narset Parter of Veils, Dovin Ban, and Teferi Master of Time. Okay, so now let's start by upticking Teferi to draw a card. It'll also untap 2 lands, which will be relevant with Otawara. That's going to turn it on, so we will have interaction up. And we draw Jace the Mind Sculptor. Now let's activate Narset. Put a few more cards into our hand. And we'll have a bit of selection here as well. So it looks like we can choose between Talisman of Hierarchy and Kaido Shizuki. I think we'll take Kaido. Now we'll also use Dovin Ban to gain us some life and draw a card. Make up for some of that life loss from our Ancient Tomb, and we draw a land there. Now we'll activate Obnixilis. We're going to target Thalisse and destroy that because we can use Teferi to take care of the Consuming Aberration. And now we'll activate Teferi to draw a card, then discard a card. We draw a Plains, so we'll discard that Plains. And from there, we'll pass it to our opponents. As we move to our end step, we do untap 2 lands. We'll untap Rafine's Tower and our Deserted Beach. And now we move to Talisse's turn. They play a land for turn. And now they just recast their commander Thalisse. They move to their end step. We're going to activate Teferi. We draw a Bajuka Bog. Well, we're definitely going to hold on to that for the Muldrotha player and the Lazav player. So we'll discard Hallowed Fountain. And now we move to Lazav's turn. Lazav activates the mill ability. This time they're targeting Muldrotha, so I think they definitely learned from their mistake last time. Let's see what they hit. Looks like they hit quite a few good creatures, a notable one being Lord of Extinction. We also have a Rex Sage and a Merciless Executioner. So let's see what they have Lazav become a copy of. And they do have a transform into the Lord of Extinction. So it's currently a 26/26. They play a land for turn, which does require them to bounce another land back to hand. Now they move to their end step. We're going to activate Teferi. We draw a Takenuma. I'll actually dump the Takenuma here. And now we go to Muldrotha's turn. Muldrotha starts by casting Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, but that does trigger Consuming Aberration. And we dump 2 Planeswalkers into the yard as well as a land. We also see an Ulamog hit a graveyard. And that is the Lazav players, so their graveyard is going to shuffle back into their library. Atris has Menace, and when Atris enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Well, let's see who they pick here. And they choose the Thalisse player. We see the piles being made. One of those piles is a Jared Golgari Lichlord. Now they move to combat. Let's see if the aberration comes our way. And it does, specifically targeting our Obnixilis. We'll block with our Dance of the Dead token. The damage is blocked. Now they move to their end step. So we'll activate Teferi. We'll draw and discard. We draw a Coveted Jewel. That's actually really nice to see. More card draw and mana acceleration. So I think we'll actually drop Kaido here. And now we can move to our turn. We draw Cyclonic Rift for turn. Always a nice ace to have up the sleeve. Alright, well let's start by activating Teferi to draw a card. We get Smothering Tithe. Now we'll activate Narset. Look at a few more cards. We have a few good choices there. Felwar Stone, Act of Authority for a little bit of interaction, which I don't think we really need at the moment. Luxior if we want to turn our Planeswalker into a creature. I think I'm actually going to take Kaya. Now we'll also downtick Dovin. We'll draw another card, gain some life. And we just draw a land there. Let's uptick Obnixilis and draw another card. So we're certainly going to have no problems drawing cards this game, at least while we maintain the board state we have. And a Sevin's Reclamation. Okay, well we do have some good targets in the bin, which our opponents have definitely helped us with there. So let's start the turn by casting our commander, Aminatou. That goes through. Now we're going to activate Aminatou, flicker in our manifested card. So now we have our Spirit Sister's Call on the battlefield. And now let's clear the board up by casting our Vanquish the Horde. And fortunately that does resolve. And that actually has the Muldrotha player scooping. So now we only have Thalisse and Lazav left. Now we'll play our land for turn, our Fetid Heath. Then we'll activate Teferi, drawing a card and discarding a card. We draw a Spark Double. So I think we can actually dump Sevin's Reclamation because we can cast it from our graveyard. And then now we'll just manifest our coveted jewel. And that's going to be our turn done. Now at our end step, Spirit Sister's Call is going to trigger. So will Teferi. And I'm actually going to go for Narset Transcendent here. We'll untap 2 lands. And I'm going to sacrifice Dovin. So we'll trade Dovin for Narset. Because if we get to her emblem, we get the emblem with your opponents can't cast non-creature spells. And that's certainly going to be a tough gig for our opponents if that happens. Thalisse starts by casting From Under the Floorboards. Create 3 tap 2/2 black zombie creature tokens and you gain 3 life. If the spell's madness cost was paid, instead create X of those tokens and you gain X life. So they make 3 tap 2/2 zombies, that takes their life total to 44. And now they also cast Murder Investigation, and that is enchanting one of their zombies. When enchanted creature dies, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens where X is its power. In response, we'll just uptick Teferi. We draw a Dakon Shadow Slayer. I think I'll actually get rid of Jace the Mind Sculptor here. And that is it for their turn. Lazav plays a land for turn. They start by recasting their commander. And now they use Jace's ability targeting the Thalisse player. It looks like they get 2 hits from that. But he doesn't use his ability. Now it looks like that's it for their turn. They move to the end step. We'll activate Teferi. We draw a swamp. We'll dump that swamp. And now we can move to our turn. And notably Teferi is at 10 counters. So we're able to use his ability this turn to take extra turns. We draw a swamp for turn. But it looks like with that, the Thalisse player has scooped it up. They probably feel we're a little bit too far ahead with all our value engines. And that also causes the other player to scoop. Alright guys, well that is the game there. Let's go to the review and discuss what happened. So this game wasn't won by us reaching a Planeswalker Ultimate, but instead from our opponents conceding. This was because we had the board locked down with our control pieces, and it's just something to be aware of when playing a control deck. But this game did highlight something I think is important addressing: milling or filling your opponent's graveyards. A lot of decks these days either utilize their graveyards or run recursion pieces, so you have to be really careful when you do so, otherwise you can give an opponent the game. In fact, that was what happened right here. When the Lazav player milled us with their Jace, they allowed us to cast a big powerful Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, and that was a big part in us winning this game. Well, that's it from me today. Aminatou is a fun and powerful control deck to play, so if you've been looking for a new control deck to build, maybe give this one a shot. Until next time, guys.